Hi guys, I hope you guys are doing amazing. This is Sean from ACET Education. Today we're going to do a CELPIP assessment of Task 2. This is written by one of our students, and we're going to diagnose how examiners mark it, what they look at, how they feel when they see certain writings, and what will it take for you to make them give you a 9 or more. It's really difficult to get a 9, but if you have proper efforts, less mistakes, you will get there. So let's diagnose this writing. We'll break it down one by one on everything, grammar, vocab, etc. Let's go to the question. So, well, this student has writing task 1 as well. Today I'm only going to do task 2. For a task 1 review, you can go on my YouTube channel. I've done a similar review for that, but let's get into task 2 right now. Okay, so the question is right here. It says you live in a city of small town, well, a small town of 10,000 people. A large green area in the center of the town is undeveloped. The city has sent out an opinion survey to see what residents would like to have built. Sorry. Option A is a shopping complex. Shopping mall would include restaurants, large supermarket, and a movie theater. Option B, recreational park. This park would include sports complex, large green area, and a small petting zoo. Very typical CELPIP question. Okay, now you got all of this. All right, so the first thing I'm going to check is the word limit, and I'm going to just copy this. Not very good with pages, so I'm just going to go on Google, type out a word counter. By the way, what I know just by looking at this writing is this student is not using the template. She's one of our new students, so she's missing the template. And for the templates, I had this video open for you guys anyway. This is my video. Where can you find all my materials and free resources for CELPIP writing and speaking? So obviously a lot of you like it because it is really valuable. If you go here, you'll find all my templates and writing topics, etc. If you go on and click on writing templates, you will see the exact words and phrases you are supposed to use in our writing task 2. So highly useful. Check that video out. It has all the links. And that's definitely missing here, which is what dents the writing a lot. Anyway, we'll come back to the writing. Let's check the words. I really don't know how to do it on Pages in Mac. But this one is saying it's 217 words, so right away that's a deduction. Okay, so that will deduct a few points because you're supposed to have 200 words. Now there's a limit, there's an allowance of plus minus 10. I don't know what they mean by minus, but maybe it's like instead of 150 you can do 140. But plus means instead of 200 you can go up to 210. Anything over 210 is not good. So it's just it's 217, so it's just seven more words than 210, and you could really find places here, I'm sure we can, where we can reduce it and save that point. You know, that's important. Anywho, before we look at the word count, let's have a look at how the paragraph is starting. This is the very first paragraph. The center of the town should develop a shopping complex. Okay, let's go through a grammar check. Once we'll just go through the grammar check for all of this. Center of the town should develop a shopping complex along with restaurants, a large supermarket, and a movie theater. Very good grammar. This is smart. You know, this thing right here. So what a lot of people do is they don't put a comma before and. Guys, before and, we should put a comma, especially if you have a list like restaurants, large supermarket, and movie theater. So I appreciate that. That's cool. All right. Such developments in a small town could benefit the future population as it would. Okay, so she said such developments, that's the subject, and then she says as it would attract. Well, we're talking about plural, so it should be as they would attract new coming residents. So the developments is the subject, hence they would attract new coming residents. What does that mean? I mean, there's a term, newcomers, right? You can say that, but well, new coming is not really a term, so we're gonna remove it. And just so you guys know what I removed, I'm gonna put it in brackets. Everything I'm removing, I'm gonna put it in brackets. So just new residents. A shopping center and a restaurant is also necessary in comparison to a large community. Okay, good. Since the town is very small, comma, very nice. You know, with since, you gotta do a comma once your first point is done. So I'm glad you did that. Many students don't. The residents should come up with ideas in order to attract tourists and new coming. Again, that's the same thing, new coming residents. So same thing. New coming is not a term. It's not something people say. New coming residents. In order to do so, we need to build more buildings in the food and shopping industry in the center of the town. Okay, this is the reason it's doing that underline is because of this. So this is American CENTRE. Since CELPIP is a Canadian exam, it's better to go with that. But you won't get a point deducted if it's the other spelling. Okay, not only will it benefit the people, okay, by giving them a place to eat and shop, but it could also influence other people to come to the town to experience the unique cuisine and shopping experience. When talking about the green open area in a petting zoo, it is not necessary for most people in their daily activities. Most people would visit the petting zoo once a year, as evidenced by the majority of people in my life. Okay. This means the green open area and petting zoo would not generate a large income for the city. Having developed talking mall and movie theater means more income, more tourists, and happy residents. Okay, this is good. You know, grammar-wise, these are the only mistakes I saw. So there's really not much grammar issues going on. It's decent. And for all of this, she will lose maybe 1 point. Because technically, if you have more than 2 or 3 grammar mistakes, you do lose a point. But it's not too many, especially like new coming. That's the same mistake being repeated. So if I count it as 1, it's 1, 2, 3. So there's a very good... Actually, this is not a mistake. Yeah, well, this is not a mistake. So this is only 2 mistakes, and that would not reduce any mark. So 2 is allowed. Okay, that's good grammar. One thing I will do here, it's not a mistake, but I want to say will instead of would, because when you're giving opinions in CELPIP, they need to be strong opinions, okay? So they should be communicating that you really feel strongly about it, and that's gonna show your tone. And once your tone is passionate and a little aggressive or assertive, it'll look better. So instead of the petting zoo would not generate, just say it will not generate, so it shows that you have a sure thing, a strong opinion. Okay. And, you know, it's weird. She said this spelling here and then this spelling here, so it should be the same spellings as well. Okay, now, when I was reading this, I was really bothered by the vocab. This vocab level will barely give you a 7. Okay, it will barely give you a 7. Guys, I know there's lots of misinformation online. So there are samples which suck. They're terrible samples. And people say this is going to score a 12. This is unbelievable. You know, I've had native speakers with amazing vocab. They cannot score a 12. So let me tell you, this level of vocab is not even worth a 7, and people need a 9 or 10. So let's see what kind of vocab we can use. Let's try to change everything we can. All right, the center of the town should develop. Now, there's a lot of shoulds, okay? One is the basic vocab, and the other problem is the repetition. So if you just search for should, you'll find lots of shoulds. The other problem was even the new coming resident, even if it's okay, you need to have some alternative words, okay? So that's missing. So let's look at what we can do instead of should. The center of the town should develop a shopping complex on restaurants. Okay, one thing is if you simply use my template, you will have a better starting, better ending. But let's focus on this. Let's say we have to improve this one. Instead of should, let's say ought to. Okay, ought to develop. So the center of the town ought to develop a shopping complex along with. Now this is nice. This is nice vocab because few people say along with. Most people say what do you call it? And, right? So along with is better. Restaurant, supermarket, movie theater. You don't need to say any of this. Save your words. You know what she's doing here? She's copying the question. Restaurants, large supermarket, movie theater. Okay, this is unnecessary. It looks like to the examiner that you are filling up words because you cannot think of anything to say. Doesn't look good. So we are gonna put all of this in brackets, and I'm gonna say here, not a, I'm gonna say the. Okay, so I'm gonna use the word the shopping complex initiative. I wanted to say idea, the shopping complex idea, but I'm gonna say initiative because it sounds more fancy. And why I said the here is because I'm trying to show that I remember the specific thing that was mentioned in the question, the initiative about the shopping complex. So it's related to what's familiar. If I say A, it's like you're including a new idea. All right, so the center of town should develop the shopping complex initiative. All right, ought to develop. Now instead of develop, can we say something better? ought to develop, ought to create, initiate. I already said initiative here. Ought to go after, run after. Ought to proceed with. Proceed and develop. They're both basic. Ought to. I'm just thinking here. Ought to come up with. Okay, let's do that. All right. So come up with the shopping complex initiative. So when we say come up with, it's not very complex. However, this is a phrasal verb. So when we have phrasal verbs like come up with, come across, go into, get into, blow over, these are gonna be included in your range of vocabulary. So it just makes your vocabulary not just complicated, not just advanced, but also gives it a range. I'm going to talk more about range in a bit. Let's keep going. Such developments. I like how this is started, such developments, because it's fancy, you know. I don't hear that mostly. Most people will say these developments. So such developments, I like it. In a small town, could benefit. Could benefit, we can definitely make it better. We can say will yield. Okay, will yield means will provide, or will, the result of this will be something. So will yield the future population as they would attract, would yield positive results. Okay, so let's just make it specific. Would give you what? It will yield or give you positive results for the future, just getting connected. Will yield positive results for the future population as they would attract new coming residents. Attract is good, not bad. I can make it better. Let's say captivate, more fancy. Now a shopping mall and a restaurant, I'm going to remove it because it looks like we are repeating words. Okay, so let's say these facilities, because it's going to save us some words. And examiners are always thinking that you're the villain. Okay, so you're committing the crime of repeating words. So we want to show that we can come up with new words, not just copy the question. These facilities are, so I'm going to make it are now, are also necessary. Okay, are also a requirement. Can we say necessary in a better way? Are also significant, essential, mandatory, compulsory. There are all good words. I'm thinking if we can make it more fancy. Are also, okay, let's say a dire need. More fancy, right? A dire means an important need. In comparison to a large green area and a petting zoo. In comparison, let me fix this, to the alternative provided. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll do you one better. To the aforementioned alternative. So I got alternative and aforementioned. I got two fancy words. And I don't want to repeat the question. So instead of to a large green area and a petting zoo, you know, it's just copying the question. I don't want to show the examiner. I can just copy. I want to show them I can do fancy vocab and new words. Okay. All right. We're just going to remove it to avoid confusion. To the aforementioned alternative. Alrighty. So since the town is very small, where do we see this word? Right here, small town. So town is very small. Let's change it. How about we say, since there is a scarcity of residents, and then I'm going to remove this part because I already said residents. I'm going to remove this and put they should come up with. So since there's a scarcity of residents means automatically that there are few people, it's a small town, and there's scarcity, it's a fancy word. I like how she started with since, and I like how she started with when. These words make the sentence complex because now the sentence is broken into two parts. Since something something and when something something. So that's good. I don't blame that. That looks pretty good. So they should come up with ideas. I'll leave should here. If I see should later, I will change it. But let's put at least one should. That's okay. With ideas in order to attract tourists. So attract was mentioned here. Good thing we changed it there. So now it's okay to use attract. We don't have to replace it every time. In order to is better than saying to. Okay, so I do like that. And new coming residents. Okay, so new residents, we already mentioned that there. So let's change it here. Why don't we say tourists? Well, actually, tourists is said to attract tourists and new residents. You know, save some words. I wouldn't replace it here because tourists and new coming residents, even if I change it, it's the same thing. So let's not say anything, just to attract tourists. And to make it fancy. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. To attract tourists from all races, to attract multicultural, okay, to attract, or I want to say to attract multicultural tourism, but you don't attract it. The word you use mostly with that is to promote multicultural tourism. So with that, what I'm doing, you know why I wanted to add this, is because you need adjectives. You need a range of vocab, which means adjectives, phrasal verbs, complex starts, okay, complex starting sentences, a lot of connectors and adverbs. So we will talk about connectors and adverbs too. We'll try to put them in different places, and that's what a range of vocab looks like. Okay, in order to. Now you have in order to and in order to. It's repeated and it's very close together, so we can come up with something else. Let's see. We need to build buildings. In order to do so, we need to build buildings. All right, so let's say to serve this purpose, comma. Okay, different way to say it. It's a, it's not, maybe it's unique. I don't know. I use it a lot, but it looks good here. To serve this purpose, we need to. Now we need to, we ought to, we should. Let's change it completely. Let's see. We need to build more buildings in the food and shopping industry in the center of the town. Let's make it passive voice. Give the examiner a combination of active and passive voices, which is going to show, again, a range of sentences. So instead of we need to build more buildings, let's say more infrastructure. Instead of buildings, make it fancy. More infrastructure needs to... more infrastructure needs to be built in the center of the city, I'm thinking, but can we say it in a more fancy way? More infrastructure needs to needs to be constructed. Let's put a tough word, constructed, in the hospitality industry. Sounds more fancy than food and shopping. Mainly in the center of the town. Okay, why did I say mainly? I was talking about the range of vocab, and that means adjectives, adverbs, and all that stuff. This is an adverb. Every "ly" is an adverb. Mainly, totally, attractively, cleanly, all those things are adverbs. The more, the better. And it's not enough. One is not enough. I'll try to find another place to put another one. Okay, not only, this is also good, you know, not only will it whatever, but it will also whatever. This is just like using since or when. So it's good. You got at least 3 complex sentences. That's nice for a task 2. Not only will it benefit the people by giving them a place to eat and shop, but it could also influence other people. So people and people, same thing, right? Let's say individuals. Keep it different. Give the examiner a variety. To come to the town to experience the unique cuisine. Unique is good. Cuisine is good. And shopping experience. Okay. To come to the town to, okay, let's see. But it could also influence other individuals. To come to the town, to explore the town. All right, make it fancy. Explore instead of come. To explore the town, to experience the unique cuisine, and engage in the shopping experience. Why I want to put it is I want to show different words. Again, explore this and engage in this. This is not really a range of vocab, but it's more descriptive. When you have more description, it sounds better. And I don't want to say benefit. You know, again, guys, when you are doing these practices, make sure you look at every small word that is, well, small in significance. It looks very basic, and you want to change it. You know, the examiner also doesn't like it when you use words that everybody uses. So not only will it give the people by giving them, not only will it entice the people. Okay, so let's do that. Not only will it entice the people by giving them. Entice means excite. All right, so fancier. When talking about the green open area and a petting zoo, it is not necessary for most people. Let's say for the majority. Okay, for the majority, it saves you some for the majority. Well, it doesn't save you words, but it sounds fancy. In their daily activities, let's say routine, fancier. Most people, this is important. You have most here, so you did want to replace it with majority, keep it different. Most people would visit a petting zoo once in a year as evidence. Okay, let's say most people would relish visiting. Relish means enjoy or look forward to the idea of visiting. More fancy. People, let's not say anything. When you say most, it's enough. Save one word. Most would visit, or most would relish visiting a petting zoo once a year, or again, save some words. Annually, okay? It's also more fancy than once a year, annually. As evidenced, nice word, by the majority of people in my life. Useless, okay? Because personal experiences don't matter, all right? Try to make it specific. So if you're giving a benefit here, like most people, all right, most would visit the petting zoo once a year, as evidenced by, it should be something about real life. For example, guys, there's a common thing people use. Let's say when we're building a shopping mall. A common point that people use is, we should build a shopping mall because there's not a shopping mall right now in town, so it's a good idea. This is not a good point. A better point is when you explain the benefit of the shopping mall. We should build a shopping mall because it'll be a place to socialize, gather with friends and family, and go on a shopping spree with each other. Or we should build a shopping mall to create jobs because managers, salesmen, janitors will be hired to take care of the shopping mall. It shows the benefit of that place. So you want to avoid very general statements and personal experiences because this becomes general as well. So let's talk, what's something about a petting zoo that you would be wanting to go there? So we can say, as evidenced by the charm of animals that magnetize audiences, especially kids. All right, so this is more specific about the petting zoo. Like, this is what would be relevant to a zoo, not your personal experience or majority of the people in your life, but the charm of animals that magnetize audiences. Make it specific. This means, this implies, make it fancy, the green open area and petting zoo would will not generate a large income for the city. Having developed a shopping mall with a movie theater means more income. Let's say it would lead to more income, more fancy, instead of means more income. More tourists and happy residents, let's say, instead of happier, joyful. I never like the word happy, avoid it, say joyful or something else. Okay, and you know what? This is also a complex sentence, having something something and then something something else. So she got 4 complex sentences here as far as I understood. Yeah, about 4. So that's very good. Complex sentences were good. Now I want to do one more adverb somewhere, because the one adverb I used is somewhere earlier. Well, I don't remember, but anyway, one more I'm going to use because adverbs are considered as a range of vocab. So let's see. Food and shopping industry. Not only will it benefit people by giving them a place to eat. Relaxing is an adjective. I'll put it anyway because adjectives, adverbs, they're all good. Routine activities. Okay, most people, this means implies green open area would not generate significantly large income. Yeah, let me put it this way. A significantly large income. So again, I'm putting the ly, guys. Every time you have ly, it's better. Oh, yeah, right here. Mainly, any ly is good because it constitutes as an adverb. So you have adverbs, you have adjectives, you have a range of vocab with complex sentences. Like this, where was that? Having, wherever having was here. And you have one phrasal verb. I couldn't find more places to use it. And then you want to have more connectors too. For example, I think, because I'm not seeing many connectors. Let's put one here. Okay, furthermore. Can I put furthermore, a shopping center, a restaurant? These facilities are also restaurants. Yeah, let's put a furthermore here. You need connectors to generate that mark for your vocabulary, for your range. Otherwise, this means, this implies, yeah, otherwise, you know, or what about this one? Okay, in their daily activities, most people would visit, as evidence in the, oh, I want to say for example, but she said as evidenced by, so it's okay. I'll leave it. I think that's a good place to put one connector, at least have one. What she has is connectors and complex sentences. So you don't really need too many connectors if you have a combination of complex sentences and connectors. Otherwise, have more one of the other. So that's okay as well. Okay, so we have diagnosed vocabulary and grammar. We can see a lot of red, and this is what the examiner is looking at as well. With this level of vocab, you can expect easily to go over 10. So you need really complex vocab, and not just vocab. What you saw me doing was having a range of sentences, range of parts of speech. That's important too. Now we're going to look at the structure. Okay, so the starting of this was center of the town, has shopping complex, such developments and could benefit for a future population. Furthermore, shopping center is necessary to compare to this. Very long. This intro could be broken down into two simple sentences, which is the center of the town should develop this thing because of this reason. And the next sentence would be that in comparison, the shopping center, in comparison, a large petting zoo would create problems. You know, two sentences would have been enough. Not a good structure. And you have your body paragraphs and no conclusion. So you should have at least 4 paragraphs in CELPIP Task 2. Structure, you're going to lose mistakes. You're going to lose marks as well. Let's look at the response now, task response. Okay, this is mainly the intro, so nothing to look at. Let's look at our points in this part. Since the town is very small, residents should come up with ideas to attract tourists and new residents. And then if you have buildings, it will attract people and it will be a nice place to eat. Okay, nice idea. Nicely defined. It's very specific. I like the response there. Okay, when talking about the green area, it's not necessary for people to have that in their activities. Most people would visit annually. Okay, so, oh, okay. By the, okay, you know what? She's actually being negative about how less people visit a petting zoo because she's saying that it's few people would visit it, so there's no point of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this negative. I'm going to say, as evidenced by the charm of animals that magnetize only a few audiences, especially kids. So what I'm saying is it's only a few, not many people are coming here. And this implies the green space would not generate a significant large income for the city. Okay, having developed a movie theater would lead to more tourists. This part, she's now going back to her original opinion. She's kind of rephrasing her opinion, which goes in the conclusion. So this could have been a good conclusion instead of mixing it up with that paragraph. And that's, again, the structure mark that she's going to lose. But with the task response, I'm actually pretty happy. There's 2 things you guys can do. Body 1 point on your opinion, and body 2, 1 point on the other opinion, which is what this girl is doing. Not bad. You can also do 2 points in body 1 on your side and 2 points in body 2 on the other side. Both approaches are good. But she has explained points well, so I'm going to give her full marks on task response. And that's about it. So with the grammar mistakes, mainly vocab. Vocab is really going to dent her, and the second biggest thing is going to be the structure that's going to hurt her. This writing will score a 6. Only a 6, the way it was originally. With the editing, it will be much better. With all this editing that you see here, it should be maybe, I would say 10. I would say 10. I wouldn't say 11 or 12. For 11 or 12, what you guys got to do is go on my YouTube video that I showed you guys earlier, use my template. The templates are going to make it way more organized, and that should get you to an 11 or 12. I want to say 11. I'm really shy of saying a 12. Maybe I'll get a 12, but 12 is rare. So 11 or 12, that should be our aim, and that is very achievable with these changes. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you find it useful, please give me a thumbs up. Please also share it with your friends and subscribe to this channel for more great content just like this. Thank you once again. I hope you have a great day.